Hello, BookTube. Well, I have a tag bonanza to go through after a long period where people didn't want to tag me because they hate me, because I smell. I've been tagged in a few, and they're all really interesting. So I'm going to do another one. I'm going to try and clear off the tag backlog today. The one I'm doing right now is the Spring into Adventure tag. I was tagged by Randy Ray, the literate Texan. So glad to see Randy making videos again. It's not. I love the fact that we can Voxer anytime he feels like letting off steam or complaining or asking questions or anything like that, and so can I. But it's nice to see his videos for the people who don't Voxer. Although I should point out that Randy is pretty much the same as I am in that you're welcome to reach out and just. You don't have to just sit and watch videos. I don't think either one of us is doing BookTube the way YouTube influencers do it, where you're not allowed to approach the star or anything like that. But Randy is one of the hosts for an event called Spring into Adventure, which is all about adventure writing, fiction and nonfiction. Terrific, a terrific idea. I'll leave a link to his video, and you can follow through there to get to all of the other announcement videos and whatnot. Adventure stories are a lot of fun to read, and they've been going on forever. So let's look at the prompts for the Spring into Adventure tag, which I think is Randy's own creation. Prompt number 1 is, what's your favorite adventure book? Of all time, for all time, I doubt it will ever be supplanted. It is The Travels of Marco Polo, which I say is my favorite adventure book, and it definitely is, but I would still love to see a new edition of the Travels of Marco Polo. I would like to see an edition of that book that collated all the editions, had all sorts of footnotes for those collations on every page. Here's what this manuscript says, here's what this one says, and has all of it. With a great introduction, great notes, lots of maps. I would love that. That, as far as I know, has never happened. In all this time, Marco Polo is world famous. He's been world famous for centuries. I don't think that edition of his book has ever been done in any language. But he's definitely number 1. Then number 2 is, what's the newest, most recently published adventure book that you have read? And I think I have pictures here. Do I? Yes, 2 pictures. One I have already talked about on this channel by Richard King, Sailing Alone. This is terrific. I'm going to read this again when I get the finished copy. All about getting onto a little vessel like that, a cabin for one sail, one mast, and going out on the open water, far away from any help, far away from any shipping lanes, far away from anything. Who does this? Why they do it? How they do it? This is a fantastic book. Just fantastic. And I don't just say that because I have done this. I have actually done this. I have sailed alone, which is, well, I don't know. Am I alone in that when it comes to our current little neighborhood of BookTube? Mark Richardson has a huge amount of experience on the water, but I don't think he's ever sailed alone. I have done this many, many, many times on many bodies of water, big and small, kind and not so kind, all over the world, including long treks, long stretches where there was nothing anywhere within days in any direction. Just me and my beagles and the birds, and that's it. And this book really, it's wonderful. It's really wonderful. That was one thing. And then I read this is by Kevin Fedarko. I don't know that this is out yet. I don't think Sailing Alone is out yet either. This is A Walk in the Park. Fairly obvious title here. A guy and his buddy decide to do an end-to-end walk of the Grand Canyon, the entire ecosystem of the Grand Canyon, which is a long way. That is a big thing. I've done that as well. And I was a little irritated by the cavalier attitude here in this book. The two of them act like they barely planned at all. They act like it was just a kind of a bro whim. If it was and they both survived, then they shouldn't be bragging about it. And I don't think it was. I think you'd have to be, in this day and age, you'd have to be crazy to do that, to do it that way. Because this ecosystem, the Grand Canyon Valley, the Grand Canyon River and all that, all the environs all around here have claimed lots of lives for people who thought they could just do this and it would just be easy. Not only from natural disaster, but also predators. I firmly believe that there are predators who live in this area and lie in wait, like trapdoor spiders. So I don't know. I'll read this again when I get the finished copy, but something in its attitude just struck me as, you're just doing this so that you can get invited onto The View, and that you could be doing more harm than good. Someone could read this book and get this idea in their head when it's a bad idea. The way you describe it, it's a bad idea. But we will see. We will see. Maybe I missed some nuances. Then question number 3 is, what's the earliest published adventure book that you've read? Here we would want to clarify what an adventure book is. Randy tries to do that a little in his own video, goes to a definition, but of course, you don't want to go to a printed literary reference work or anything like that for a definition of anything to do with books. You want to go to me. You want to get your definition from me. Okay? And an adventure book is not a book in which adventures happen. An adventure book is a book in which adventure is the point. So even the examples that Randy read from, Tale of Two Cities is not an adventure story. The adventure is not the point. It has to be. It's a subgenre of its own. So I don't know. Maybe I'm shooting myself in the foot. But for instance, Marco Polo would be a good example, I think, of an adventure book. And another one that always comes to mind, although here I could be hoist on my own petard. It could be that I'm describing something that does not meet my own definition. But here I would mention the Anabasis of Xenophon, which seems to me to be, yes, it's a military expedition, but it seems to me to be mostly wanting to tell adventure stories, to be one big adventure story. And if that's true, I think it would be the earliest one that I've ever read. Then question number 4 is, who's your favorite adventure book author? I'm afraid it would be Marco Polo, Mr. Millions. It would be Marco Polo. Everything I traveled everywhere with that book. I've traveled to all the places that are mentioned in it. I love it. Just love it, and I love its author. Again, I don't want to harp. I wish there were a volume that I could point you to that would show you the author's personality coming through. It really does come through, but good luck in any of the stupid wooden popular editions that currently exist. Anyway, problem number 5 is, what's your favorite film adaptation of an adventure book? There's not going to be any competition from me on this that it's going to be Jurassic Park. Honestly. But favorite film adaptation, that means it doesn't have anything to do with the book. It has to do with the movie. It can't be that, I really like the book, The 39 Steps, so I'm going to nominate the movie, even though the movie is sleepy. Downright sleepy. When the book is anything but sleepy, the movie is sleepy. I'm going to name Jurassic Park, which is an unbelievably perfect movie, regardless of how dumb the book is. Then question number 6 is, who's your favorite adventure book character? Here I'm going to name a character, but he actually is an author. It's just he made himself a character in such an egregious way that there's no avoiding it when you read his books, and that's Patrick Lee Fermer, who writes great travel logs. They aren't necessarily adventure books. There's plenty of adventures in them. So I'm thinking I can squeak by on a technicality, and the second technicality is calling him a character when he would say he was the author. But since I don't believe that a good 60% of what happens in his books actually happened in real life, I think I'm safe in calling him a character. Then question number 7 is, do you prefer fiction or nonfiction adventure books? Nonfiction, for me, 100%. Question number 8 is, do you consider yourself adventurous? Why or why not? I was originally going to say no to this question. I was originally going to say no and get all sentimental and sappy about how I used to be. Those of you who are new to my channel, maybe you haven't watched the 7,000 video backlog. I've done a lot of traveling in my life, and I've had a lot of adventures while traveling. None of it wasn't package tours. It wasn't suitcase packed with geopictate. It wasn't cruises or anything like that. It was a lot of traveling, raw and rough, and with dogs. and that generates adventures, and I was up for it, always. I would feel the pull after a while, living a normal life here in Boston. I would feel the pull to go out, to get lost, to go someplace. And I would go about the routine business of wrapping up the apartment, making sure it was safe and whatnot, canceling everything that might need canceling, packing, planning, and then I would go. And I'd go on sometimes for a long time, a very long time, and then eventually I would feel the urge to come back. I would feel that urge. My standing idea throughout those years was that if I was ever traveling someplace, no matter where it was, and didn't feel that urge, well, then I wouldn't come back. Then I would know that I was where I should be. And I always did feel that urge. And those days are over, and they're never coming back. So I was going to get all sappy and sentimental here, and then I thought of a way out. And it's not as much of a trick answer as it sounds. I am adventurous now, and I would argue so are you. We read. An old friend of mine, my greatest teacher, told me a long time ago that reading is the greatest adventure of them all. Because you're not risking your leg or your neck or your wallet or your health or an intestinal bug or anything like that. You're risking a lot more than that. When you do the kind of serious, nuanced reading that we do, you're risking a lot more than that. You're letting someone inside your head to muck around with your sensations, to say, well, I know you've believed this, this, and this about subject X for all your whole life, but I'm going to demonstrate to you that those beliefs are wrong. Now, I can't do that unless you read my book. But if you risk that, I will demonstrate that what you believe is wrong. I will move around the furniture in your brain. I know I've managed to be sappy anyway, but it is a little sappy to say, but I think that reading is the greatest adventure of them all. So in a way, we are all adventurous. If we're not just, you know the kind of reader that I'm talking about, right? The kind that isn't adventurous. I'm sure that you know some of those readers, people who would not be comfortable with BookTube at all. Not at all. The kind of reader, I guess we have to put it in air quotes, that knows what they like and likes what they know and never varies from that at all. I'm just going to read this, and that's it. And I don't care about anything else. I don't want to read anything else. And I want this to be exactly the same as it was the last time I read it, the time before that. I'm sure that you know readers like that. They are not adventurous. So there is a way, of course, that this isn't an answer at all. But if you're reading with your whole heart and your whole soul, it is adventurous. The greatest adventure of them all, because you're risking a lot more than the discomforts of travel. A lot more. You're risking. A book can get under your skin. A book can ruin your day. A book can disturb you for weeks. And we're all out there seeking that. We are thrill seekers. We're all out there seeking these adventures. So I'm going to say that. I'm going to say reading. Then question number 9 is, what's your favorite genre to combine with the adventure genre? Probably for me it would be memoir. Probably it would be. I'm not tend to be a big fan of combining genres at all, but memoir is often combined with adventure anyway. They're co-joined, so I would probably say that. Then question number 10, do you play or have you ever played adventure-themed games? Video games, board games, tabletop RPGs, etc. And in answer to this question, no, as luck would have it, I am not, in fact, a virgin. So I have never done any of those things. No, I'm afraid not. And then all that's left is to tag people. And again, as with so many of the tags that I'm doing today, A, I don't know who wants to be tagged by me. B, I don't know who wants to do this tag. Maybe you're not interested in adventure writing or adventures at all, in which case it'd be waste for me to tag you. So I'm going to punt, as I've been doing all day, and just say, if you want to do this, if this seems up your alley, if you have answers to these things, then by all means, do this tag. I just don't want you to feel obliged to do it if I tag you. So if you watch this video and you feel like digging into these questions, by all means do. So thank you very much, Randy, for tagging me. And I will wrap this up. We'll see you all soon. Thank you, BookTube.